Think of you as an artist, number one, selling artist. Are you worried that someone could copy you with AI?
The brand, the person, that's me, and I own me. Discussion I had with a football club who wanted to use my mallet, and I said, no, you can't.
I think relying on AI, to be a TV presenter, it'll never be as good as the real thing. It might be cheaper. I mean, how could you replace Timmy Mallett? How could you replace him with AI? You could try. I'm just not so sure you'd be terribly successful.
My dad, in the Second World War, was posted to India in the Pay Corps, and he took with him a camera, and he took in 2.5 years 27 photos.
For some of our younger audience members, if they're looking to get into music, if they're looking to get into art, what would Timmy advise them to do?
Do it. Do whatever the thing is that makes you laugh and makes you giggle. Make the little film and share it on your socials.
Timmy, welcome to the Automated Analytics Podcast. It is great to have you on your show. I think, as you know, I'm a bit of a fan. I always wanted to be on Whackaday as a kid, growing up in the 80s. It was just that time on TV that kids wanted to be involved. And you're a big part of my childhood growing up. So it's great to have you on the show. Now, for those that don't know who Timmy Mallett is, who is Timmy Mallett? Because you're not just TV, you're wider than that.
Simple thing is probably Google it and go and look at Wikipedia. That's what everybody does, don't they? You just go to find out stuff. Look, I'm having a very interesting career and I'm excited by all sorts of different things. I began in doing history and history of art at uni at Warwick. I went into radio. At local radio at Radio Oxford, which led me into becoming a radio DJ and doing Luxembourg and Piccadilly Radio in Manchester, and that led to TV. And I don't think careers are linear. I think they expand in all sorts of different ways. There's a knock on the door that an opportunity arrives. Let's see where that leads. You'll have had that in your career too, won't you, Mark?
Yeah, but Timmy, what I love about you is your passion. I don't ever think you've had a down day, if you get what I mean. Your passion always comes through. And that knock on the door, it's interesting. It feels like you're a bit of a yes, as in, yeah, I'll do that, or yeah, I'd like to be involved. Is that your attitude?
Oh, I think you should always do that. I think that's a very good idea. I mean, with a caveat, use your common sense, but the opportunities do come your way. And, the TV and Wide Awake Club and Whackaday landed at a time, a golden age of TV. And in many ways, that's only visible in hindsight. But, when you were growing up, Mark, TV started at 4 PM. You waited for the TV to go on, and then at night it went off at midnight, and there was a beep. Sleep well. Breakfast TV came in 1982, and we had new channels arrived at the same time. Channel 4 later, a few years later, 5 or 6 years, perhaps Channel 5, but there was an outcry that breakfast TV would lead to a moral decline, and who would watch telly in the mornings. It transpired everybody did, and I happened to be on the TV at that time, and I'm eternally grateful because that lovely audience watching the show at 7 stay with you forever. Mark, you're a classic example of this. You're a little wide awaker watching the telly and enjoying Whackaday and the Wide Awake Club.
And what led you in TV? You mentioned about radio, but how did you make those first steps? Was it just an opportune moment, someone coming knocking on the door? Or did you purposely go out and think, no, I want to go into radio, I want to go into TV?
Exactly. I wanted to go into radio. Radio was the first love, and I wrote to all these stations, and one of them wrote back and say, there's nothing at the moment, but ever you're in the area. So I just wrote back and said, I'm in the area on Friday, and knocked on the door and talked my way into a 2-week assignment, which became a month, which became extended and extended. Very lucky, but hard work, make yourself available, keep your eyes open and find out what's going on and learn.
But that hard work, to me, that's a great demonstration of who you are as a person. Because who would take the time and the effort nowadays to write, to send an email, to write to people, and as you say, I am available. That must have taken some commitment. You must have really had that passion to go into radio from a young age.
Yep. I loved it. I found a radio station at the university at Warwick. First day, walking past a shed with the door open and music playing and the DJ saying, "Would the next DJ turn up, please? I want to go for my breakfast." And I thought, wow, that's exciting. And there was a magic about broadcasting that I was absolutely hooked. And it was only having done that for 10 years that the opportunity of TV became more attractive, and those doors opened with the arrival of breakfast TV. My colleagues and friends were involved in TVAM, and they said, "Come and do this, be involved in our new kids show." Yeah, okay, I'll give that a go. And that led to stage shows and performing on stage, which led to honing your craft and working the audience and how to do a show and be entertaining on the stage. That led to a record which went to number one around the world. And I go tick, tick, tick to these different aspects. And I think I'm very fortunate.
And that comes through from you as a person. You're a very, very positive person. Now, I just want to take you back to those radio days. Do you remember the first record that you played?
Yep. If You're Ready, Come Go With Me by the Staple Singers.
No, really?
It's a great song. Have a listen to it. It's really a really powerful song about being optimistic and having a go.
And was there a particular genre that you liked? Because if you take your number one hit, it's Itsy Bitsy Teeny Weeny. I think
Yellow
I got that
polka
right.
dot bikini that she wore for the first time today. Oh, yeah.
Very, very, very dancey. But was there a particular type of music you liked growing up being
music.
a DJ?
Love pop music. I think pop music's really important in our lives. It's important because you use music to measure the things that happen in our lives. You might not remember the date, but you'll say, I remember, starting at that school, the new job, falling in love, moving house, by those songs. And they become part of our DNA. And when you get into the radio now, you go onto Spotify and have a little listen to your favourites. I had a little thing come up on Spotify this morning, actually, and said, "Hey, here's your year of listens of Spotify. This is, by the way, you've had 250,000 listens to Itsy Bitsy have happened this year. Oh, that's nice. Thank you very much. Do I earn anything from it? Probably a couple of pence."
But it's interesting because that's the way the internet has changed the music industry. One of the episodes that we're doing in this series, I've interviewed Eddie MT, a guy called Adam Taylor, who, again, if he was selling CDs, he's probably doing very well, but it's 0.003 of a pence that I think he's getting per play. That's a different industry now than what it was, and that's the impact that the internet's had really on the music industry.
Oh, look, the world is changing vastly and dramatically, and it's quite exciting. I think this is a thrill that I've lived through such great technological changes. And each year there appears to be something new and different. Little example of you've just given of Itsy Bitsy. When that became, a million selling record, that meant that 1 million people bought the physical plastic record that they put on your turntable. So it's saving up your pocket money, going down to the high street, probably into Woolworths, saying, "Have you got it?" "Yes, here it is." It comes home with you in your bag, and you get home and you put it on the turntable and it sets the room alight, and then you put it on repeat. Probably flip it over after an hour to have a listen to the B-side, then put it back again. It's exciting. Nowadays, you don't own music. You just rent it, and it doesn't have quite the same impact. Songs still matter, but owning the song, having physical ownership of something is different. I find that the technological way that life is changing is thrilling, and your job with automated analytics is a part of that, actually. Look, back in those days of the Wide Awake Club, we didn't have this, the mobile phone. It just didn't exist. And then it came in the mid 80s, and people said, what do you want a phone for? What do you want a mobile? Why would you ever want people to be able to get hold of you all the time? What are you going to do? And the reason it was sold to me, and I was given one, it was a good example, by, what was the company called? Orange. Yeah, the company was Orange, and their advert was, what was it?
Future's bright. The
Future's orange. That's it, yeah. So stay in touch with your celebrity friends with a mobile phone. Oh, well, now, of course, all business is done on a mobile, and who has a landline anymore? I was mortified when earlier this year they said, you're losing your landline, it's going to become a digital line, and it's a shocker. The quality is awful. Give me that copper wire that goes to my house any day, and I'd be very happy to use that. But if you go back another few years, you'll have shared party lines. Your family will tell you about this. You know, the day you got your landline at home, very likely somebody else had shared the line with you. So you'd pick up the phone and, oh, I can't speak because somebody else is talking. What are they saying? What's going on? I remember the day we got not the mobile, we got the landline at home in Marple, and very excited. The phone number was 4 numbers, you know, Marple 4827 or something, and there was a one of those Rolodecks, but it wasn't a Rolodex. It was just a flip thing for the 20 or 30 numbers that the family had. And one of them was my dad's office. So I rang the office to speak to my dad. Hello. And the receptionist said, yes, Calico Printers. Can I speak to my daddy? Yeah, what's your daddy's name? Daddy. Okay, what's your name? Timmy. And your second name? And that by default, they finally get hold of my dad, who comes on the phone very anxious. What's the matter? What's the matter? Phoning to tell you what's for tea. So I told him what's for tea. And when he came home that day, he said to my mum, I had a very important phone call today, and I'm beaming from ear to ear, saying, what's for tea? And it's, you know, fish fingers, chips and beans. And he said, I'm so excited because I was told on the phone, and it was that bit of communication. Now, I can remember that, and that's become part of a little family folklore of history. Mm. But the technology is different now, isn't it? Mm. So I've got at home the collection of handwritten letters and typed letters that were sent backwards and forwards to me when I went away to school. Of course, you wouldn't have those these days because everything's an email or a text, and they're immediate, but you don't keep them. They don't have that longevity. So the connection is interesting, isn't it? Where do we see the way that people interacted with each other from years ago? Technology, it's the changing of it. So the mobile phone's a good one. And then you come to 1990 and Tim Berners-Lee and that wonderful transformation that happened, the invention of the interweb. Wow. And here we are, suddenly everybody's now online and nobody phones on this device anymore. It's used for accessing a squillion things. You've had a little look at that and said, oh, you've got far too many apps on your phone, Timmy.
You have, Timmy.
I have. How many should I cull down to?
You've got something like 146. I think you need max like 40. Max 40.
Really?
Yeah, you've got a lot on there.
What about ones that you might use occasionally?
So
Delete them and use them when you need them.
yeah, or do you really need them? Is if you only use them occasionally, it's up to you. I mean,
Yeah, no, I think you're
your
right.
choice. But I
Cull.
yes,
Cull as much as you can. So I'm going to do that. That's going to be my job later on.
is that
today.
my one impact? On
Yeah, no.
You've had such a big impact on me
Well, I'll
as a
delete.
child. So
Yeah.
my return impact on you is you deleting loads of
Well, I
stuff off
will
your
do
phone.
because the internet. The next thing that happens is social media, and I follow nobody.
Which I thought was when we were chatting last week, an amazing fact that you don't follow anybody.
Nobody. I delete them all. I use it for putting out, not for getting in, because I get enough from the conversation. And, the WhatsApp messages, the little jokes from your pals, look at them, delete, clear away. But the socials, they're useful for putting out and sharing stories. So, for instance, I'm driven by curiosity and exploring. So, my love of history and storytelling that came from Wackaday and those shows that you watched, I now feed those with cycling. I'm a cycle tourist. I started by cycling the great Camino de Santiago, the ancient pilgrimage route across Europe. Yep. Back in the Middle Ages, 250,000 people a year would make their journey from wherever they lived in Europe to Santiago de Compostela in northwest Spain to see the hand.
Yep.
The hand or the tomb of St. John. And, wow. Well, that's hence Santiago, St. John. He's a brother or cousin of Christ. And still to this day, people do this journey. And I made that journey from home on my bike and documented it in paintings because I'm a keen artist and I'll paint and sketch every day. And so that's led to cycling now across Europe. I've done a circumnavigation of Britain and a circumnavigation of Ireland. And up on my Strava came my 6,500 miles this year of cycling. And on the way, I will tell stories. And the stories are filmed on the phone. Shoot them on the phone, edit on the phone. Lovely little gadgets you can do them. And share them on the socials. And for whatever reason, they always want to be filmed on socials. Portrait as a landscape looks much better, but portrait because people watch there, don't they?
Yeah.
That's okay. First thing in the morning, get up. What's happening? And the algorithms, your algorithms say you are where Timmy's cycling. You might be interested in this. I haven't seen him for years. I thought he was dead. I'll follow him. Right, that's going to be interesting. And so we've got 500,000 followers. Just from sharing stories. And I'm not particularly looking to use this to make to get funding back. I don't say, hello, YouTube, you can pay me. I'll put them out on these channels and use it as a place where people are going to watch. Because I know that if you watch at that angle, you're going to be committed to it because it's very personal. It's you and I speaking like this. If it's on the telly, it's over there or in the corner of the room and you glance at it. Yeah, that's nice, lovely. But it's not quite as grabs you like this. And that's good for your business because how do we get people to watch stuff? The famous phrase these days is content, isn't it? Where does content come from? Well, content apparently has to be a maximum of 3 minutes. Who came up with that arbitrary figure? Why is that? Tick is different. That says, okay, you can go up to 10. Oh, right, okay. And then if you go to it's long form stuff. They'll give you 30 minutes and put lots of stuff into it, lots of straps going on and banners and little comments and let people get involved in it. my world's busy enough with this. Here's the story. It's real. This is what I'm doing, and it's one bloke on his own, peddling around Britain with my observations.
So, hugely successful in TV,
Yeah,
number one selling artist,
Yeah.
and you're a painter.
yeah.
What's been the key thing? What's been the secret to your success? Because that's quite a varied and wide artistic talent. What's been the key?
Make it real. Make it real. Believe it. You know, do it with all your heart and soul, and if it works, it'll work. That's the simple answer, and I'll stick with that.
Good. So when we talk about, and I just want to delve into Whackaday, the concept of Whackaday was a fun kids half hour on TV. I'd never seen anything like it. I don't remember anything where suddenly this man jumps out loudly dressed, and just wants to have fun. What was that? An extension of your personality? Was it a concept you came up? Was it just you being you on the TV?
I think these things develop really. We began with the show with we've got a cartoon. We'll have a make. We'll have a little story. There was a puppet to begin with, and let's see how those all come together. And after a while, you think, oh, we'll ditch that, and we'll bring in this, and we'll try something else, and we'll have this game. I don't know, a word association game with a mallet. And I remember thinking, well, we'll do that for, a month or so and then move on to something else. And they said, oh, well, you'll probably have it forever. Think they're right.
And when did you come up with that? What was it just a magic moment? Was it just that, did you always have that in your mind?
Look,
or
it's
how
a
did
production meeting. We need a game. What game should we do? I know, word association game. Yeah, apple, banana, orange. Yeah. Okay, Bosch. Bosch. With a foam mallet. Call it Mallet's mallet. Are you all right with that? Why? Because you'll have it forever. See how it goes. Yeah, I've had it forever. Mallet's mallet. And honestly, it happens as simply as that. So why does that last? Because it captures the imagination at a time when a golden age of TV, a golden age of television. So you're watching in the morning when you're getting ready for the day, and your parents sit you down in front of the TV, because that 20 minutes, half an hour is when your mum can have a cuppa, get her thoughts together about what she's going to do, and you're going to be happy and entertained. And then she'll pop in and have a little look and go, oh, that's funny. Or it might be on in the kitchen, wherever it is in the house. And it becomes absorbing, and everybody is part of it. Nowadays it will be different, and that's okay. Nothing lasts forever, Mark. Everything is constantly changing and in flux, and I think the fact that things are changing and in flux is a good thing.
It's totally bonkers, if you don't mind me saying, that you when Mallet was created, you didn't think it was going to last, because this thing has lasted years. Mm-hmm. It really has been part of you. Putting that to one side, what's the one TV program you wish you'd either created, hosted, or been involved in?
I did it. I've done it. Thank you very much. Whackaday. Very happy. Don't give me any others. I'm happy with that.
That is amazing to hear how content you are, because sometimes the pressure is on, right, I've got to deliver more, I've got to do something else. Yep. But it really was that central piece, and it really has given you so much. Now, you appeared on I'm a Celeb. You went in there, which is quite topical because it's only just finished now. Did that help broaden your appeal to a different base, or what led you to do that? Bit of fun. I'm comfortable with the great outdoors. I think that you know what you're signing up for. This is a bit of fun. And Ant and Dec are good fun, aren't they? Yes.
We laugh at them, and they have great script writers and come up with some good gags, and it's funny. And you're going to get covered in cack, and it'll be funny, and that's fine. And I really did enjoy that. Can be a little challenging, perhaps, with a group of people in a tiny little compartment, one or two who are trying a little bit too hard, maybe.
And that's the thing. Did everybody go in with the same sense you had of? Because I get the feeling from you, you're very much a can do. I'm going to give it my best shot. You're a very, very positive person, which is what I love about you, Timmy. Do you think everybody else goes into it in the same mindset, or do they see it as no, this is going to help me launch my career?
I don't know. I think everybody's got a different idea about different things, haven't they?
Yeah.
I don't think it. I'm not going to worry about how other people approach it. Be true to yourself. That's all you have to do, isn't it?
Yeah. So, just turning the conversation to AI, if Wackaday existed today, how do you think AI, or would AI even be involved in the production or the setup of Wackaday today?
Probably. I don't quite know how that would happen, but little example, if you're wanting people to be involved in the show, if you want to be on Wackaday, write in. You write into Wackaday, PO Box 200, London, NW1 8TQ. And guess who wrote in? You're sitting right there, Mark. Didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay, so you would write in. You knew that address off by heart because I would repeat it over
I
and
quoted
over.
back the postcode to you, by the way.
Straight away. There you go. And then you put the stamp on, and you say, Mum, will I get on? And you're waiting and waiting for the call. And okay, so it might happen, Mark. It may happen one day. Be patient. There is a sackload of mail there. That would be different now, wouldn't it? People would approach you differently to get on. You'd have a different way of doing it.
Yeah.
That's the first example. And then have your photos on wax snaps. Remember taking a photo on the holiday?
Yes.
Right. So you're on holiday. You've gone to your favourite beach, your seaside. Where would you go for your seaside holidays?
Benidorm, of course.
No, where would you go in England?
Oh, where to go in England? Newquay.
Right. So you go down to Newquay, and holidays start around about 20th of July.
Yep.
So you're down, the first or second week of the school holidays, 6 weeks? Right. So you're going to take the photo on the beach. First thing you'll do is on the way down is you'll do a whack a wave out the back of the car to everybody else going, and occasionally people will whack a wave back. Or you'll go blah through the window at each other, and you go, there's a wide awaker. There's a little language that you share with each other. You get to Newquay, and the first day you go onto the beach and you build a sandcastle or a big W in the sand. Take a picture, Mum. She takes a picture. Right, okay. It's a roll of film. Got to finish off the roll of film. And then you've got to send it off to be developed. How long does that take? Week?
At least.
10 days?
Yeah.
10 days. Back would come the photos. Okay, so we're well into the middle of August now. Back would come the photos, and here's the picture. Okay, you're quite a long way away. We don't see you very clearly. There's you, your brother and sister, okay, with the big W in the sand. Okay, but it's good. So we'll send that off to Wackaday. What's the address?
London.
Wackaday,
NW1,
PO Box 200, London, NW1 8TQ.
TQ, sorry, yeah.
Mark.
I'll get better. I'll get better with it.
Come on. Okay, so you send it off,
Yep.
and then you wait for it to appear, and maybe, just maybe, at the end of the holidays, there it is, fleetingly. You're on the telly for 2 seconds. Wow, how good do you feel?
Yeah, amazing.
I've been on the telly. That picture worked, Mum.
Yeah.
Isn't it great? But it took quite a lot of effort to get on. And how many million people did it? Squillions and squillions and squillions. Honestly, loads of photos of great holidays. And you go, it's part of your memory, isn't it? And the fact that you wrote in, you'll come across other people who watched Wackaday, and they'll all say the same thing. I wrote in, and occasionally you'll come across somebody who says, I was on. And that happens most days. I get people who will say, I was on.
Amazing.
And love their little memory of it. Good.
But nowadays, it would be an app, wouldn't it? Or it'd be upload your photo to this, or take a picture, or a feed off Instagram, or a hashtag.
It'd be more
TikTok.
immediate. It's just more immediate. So that's how it would work.
And do you think because of that immediacy that, not necessarily AI, but the internet, Do you think people are losing something in that? Because you mentioned earlier about authenticity and communications become a lot easier. But that whole ceremony of taking the picture and the whack a wave and the sending the film off and getting it back, do you think we sacrifice something for speed?
We have more photos. Our life is more documented in pictures than it has ever been. However, they're digital. There's very few physical photos. And I personally think the physical photos are the ones that will last. So the people who put the effort into making photo books, well done. Now, those photo books are mainly interested to you. They're not necessarily going to be interesting to historians because there'll be pictures of places, though it can actually have an impact if you take a photo and you have a physical copy. I'll give another example of where this comes about. My dad, in the Second World War, was posted to India in the Pay Corps, and he took with him a camera, and he took in 2.5 years 27 photos, 27 pictures, and he diligently wrote on the back the names of all the different people: Lofty, Benno, Jacko, Self, and there they all are. Now, without them being real photos, they'd be lost.
Yeah.
As digital pictures. So your physical photo of you on the beach
Yes.
at Newquay has a value way beyond the digital one.
Yes.
Because it's one of only 30 that were taken in that roll of film, or 28 or whatever, 2 of which were the cat and the dog to finish up the roll, and half a dozen were out of focus or your thumb was over it.
Yeah.
Now we take hundreds of photos a day.
Yeah. And you wouldn't know until you got the film back that you'd actually made a mistake on the film in the first place. It was
Exactly.
that what the photo is going to look like, that memory of the holiday that you then got, reliving it almost 2 weeks, 10 days later when you got the film back.
So the question is, can AI help a show like Wackaday?
Yeah.
And I don't know, because it's not on now.
Yep.
That's a hypothetical question, isn't it? Where it is useful is in all sorts of other areas, and it's instantly a part of our lives all the time. When you ask a question, you Google a question, don't you? You don't ask it anymore. You don't go to an encyclopedia. You go to Wikipedia, or you Google a question, and AI gives you a brief snapshot. So you did an interesting thing, because your AI that you Googled whether I'd opened the Frenchgate shopping centre in Doncaster got it wrong.
Yep.
So ask me. I know I opened the Frenchgate shopping centre, and AI will now correct it, and it will now say Timmy opened it.
Definitely. And I think that's the thing with AI, is it can never replace the human being, because how can someone replace your memory? You knew that you were there.
Yeah.
And when you walked down the street, it was really interesting. You said, and that's the shopping centre I opened.
Yeah, I recognised it straight away.
Yeah.
I've done a few of those. There's one in Shrewsbury, and Camberley, and Bury, and lots of different towns around the country. Probably those shopping centres, by and large, are on their last legs. They're being repurposed into something else these days, because our shopping experience is different now. It's done online, isn't it?
Yes.
Though we still like to browse. We still like the physical aspect of going down the street, and you hope that the shops will still be there.
Hopefully. Now, thinking of you as an artist, number one, selling artist, are you worried the impact that AI is having in the music industry? Are you worried that someone could copy you with AI? Because admittedly, it's quite a unique song that you came out with, but how would you feel if someone created Timmy Mallett, the AI version?
Of what?
Of you. So if someone recreated you in AI?
The first thing is, I think you could tell the difference. It has raised its head. Somebody, one of the socials asked me the other day if I wanted to translate my reels into another language. And I debated with the family about this as to whether this was a good idea. But in the end, I decided that my audience is primarily English speaking, and I'm not sure I want to have my voice translated into a language or a country I can't spell. So I don't think it's necessary. And an AI Timmy Mallett, well, it could be useful, but the brand, the person, that's me, and I own me. So, I protect my brand, and I have protected my mallet, Pinky Punky. But, you can Google the discussion I had with a football club who wanted to use my mallet, and I said, no, you can't. So I'm protective of that. I think there's an interesting example that you can buy a birthday card with Tommy Cooper on. Well, that birthday card pays a royalty to the estate of Tommy Cooper, even though they're sampling his voice. If you were to sample a Blair from Timmy Mallett, well, that's my Blair.
Mm.
That's mine, actually. And to use it, no, I would protect it.
And I think sometimes this is what people forget. This is your livelihood.
Yeah.
This is how you, as an artist,
Yeah.
whether it's on TV, whether it's painting, whether it's music, this is how you make your money. This is you, and therefore that protection, I think, is quite key, because I think it's the one area that I'm more concerned about understanding AI and having an AI software business, is that copyright, particularly in your industry, is absolutely key, because it's how you protect yourself, but it's how you actually make your money. That's why arts in some way exists, because you can't do it for free.
I'm aware of it. I'm not as worried about it as perhaps others may be, because I think that we are ingrained in an understanding of fairness and copyright. And when somebody tried to copy my look and sell it as Timmy Mallett as a look, no, I stopped the toy company from doing that. And that was just, you can't do that. And they went, oops, sorry, no, we can't. So one of the things I'm thinking about with actors, and actors are worried about it, is that the movies these days are full of CGI, and the big blockbuster this Christmas is Avatar, isn't it? It's an invented country, an invented creature, invented everything. Okay, even that's got an ownership of who owns it.
Yeah, because I think when I think about it, is, if you forgive me for saying that, timidness. How could I get you across in AI? You'd lose it because of your human interaction, your human personality, the way you are as an individual. Trying to replicate that, difficult to do, because as you say, AI, and Jimmy Carr has a similar kind of expression. It's a poor version of you. It's like a covers band. They will never be as creative, because they're basing it off you. You will always come up with new ideas, new things. Whereas AI is always looking back and looking at what you've done previously to try and work out how to position you moving forward. And I think, because when I look at your career, you've also influenced a lot of people. So Chris Evans, I think, was your T-boy, who's gone on to, he was massive in kind of broadcasting, still is now, and you actually helped discover a lot of talent as well. And actually, you've had I think, a bit more impact on TV than you sometimes let on.
Well, that's very kind of you. Thank you. Thank you very much for saying. I think, again, be true, be real. It's important in performance, and in anything that you do to do with this. Be real about it. But I'm not going to belittle AI, because I think it's got a very good role to be had. It's got a good role in all sorts of things. Medicine, got to be a good thing in medicine. triaging thing. When you phone up the GP and say, "Oh, my leg hurts," right? What have you done? Have you fallen off anything? Da 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 da. He ticks off all the things it isn't. Then says, "Right, okay, better come in and I'll have a little look." Ah, yes, I can see what you've done. Right, you've fallen on the garden fork. Okay, but triaging is the obvious example in medicine. Could be done by automation, and then you giving the consultant or the nurse the chance to help fix it. I also think it's got a role in education. Slightly, it's an interesting thing with education. There's a pal of mine involved in education in sub-Saharan Africa. And the premise of his business is that if you teach literacy and numeracy to youngsters, you can have a positive impact on population growth, particularly with young girls. Oh, right, okay. So he was slightly surprised when the big tech giants all came and said, "We'd like your data. We want your data on this." Now, his data, of course, is protected by GDPR in the UK and in Europe, but perhaps it's not the same in America. Okay, well, just a moment. So he said, I'm not collecting data. I just don't do it. And was certainly not selling it and not making it available in that way because don't know how it's going to be used. And then you're asking the question, how do you want teaching to be done? If it was done by AI, are you going to offer up a different interpretation of whatever you're teaching? Are you offering up where would it have a role, and where would it be possibly not sure about that? Don't know. Those are things you just flag up, don't you? Another pal of mine, he's a magician, and he was interested. He's saying, "Oh, AI." I said, "No, AI could be really good. Could help you come up with new tricks. There's got to be new tricks done with AI. It could be quite exciting, I would have thought. I don't know. I wonder if AI could."
I think it could, and I think that's the thing is using it as a research tool to broaden your horizons and get to or understand things, or how does that work, or find that new trick that you can then finesse and bring your own personality into. That's where I can see it having a great impact. I think relying on AI, to be a TV presenter, it'll never be as good as the real thing. It might be cheaper. But yet I don't. At the moment, I don't think it would be as good. I mean, how could you replace Timmy Mallett? How could you replace him with AI? You could try. I'm just not so sure you'd be terribly successful. Now, again, I want to go back to TV for a second. Today in TV, I don't know. Are they using AI in TV? Are they using it in productions? Are you seeing it anywhere where it shouldn't be? What's your thoughts on that?
I don't know because I don't watch much telly.
Having come from the TV industry, has telly lost its moment, do you think?
Look, it certainly was a golden age in the early 80s when everybody watched and when it was important and it had a particularly powerful value.
Yeah.
And it's not to belittle it now, but there are just other things, aren't there? So it's competing with other things. And even the regular streaming from the free-to-air broadcasters is up against it with the streaming giants, because people will say, okay, if I'm going to watch TV, I'll get a box set and I'll binge watch, don't they? That's what I'll do. I'll have a bit of that, thanks. So do we still watch TV in the same way that we used to? So example of that would be when you first started out in business, you'd go in and say, "Did you see last night?" And most people in the office did. "Hey, can't wait for next Tuesday to see what's going to happen." Well, where's that gone? That doesn't exist anymore, does it? So there's still entertainment shows. There's still big programs that ought to be culturally important. One of them recently was Traitors, wasn't it? The frustration there was it wasn't on every night. Oh, God, I've got to wait till next Wednesday. What's that about? That's olden days telly, isn't it?
Yes.
Where you've got to wait. Be patient.
That's very true. It's very true. Now, when you talking just about the media, you've got BBC's come under a bit of criticism recently. You've got ITV. Do you think they will be in the same format as they are today, 5, 10 years time, or do you think fundamentally TV's had its day and it's now about that device there or another device or consuming it in a different way?
I'm not sure, Mark, and I think it would be wrong to speculate that. I don't think I have enough to be able to speculate on it. One thing I will say is change is a constant, and change is inevitable, and we should embrace it, and welcome it. Everything changes. Nothing lasts forever. Plans are useless. Planning is everything.
That's very true. Now, finally, for some of our younger audience members, if they're looking to maybe not necessarily get into TV, but entertainment, if they're looking to get into music, if they're looking to get into art, what would Timmy advise them to do?
Do it. Do it. Do whatever the thing is that makes you laugh and makes you giggle. Make the little film and share it on your socials. Put it out. You never know. The algorithms, your lovely algorithms will make it work. And if it's good quality and worthwhile, it'll succeed. Honestly, it's there. The world's your oyster. It's fantastic.
And I think that's the thing is for one thing, it's made people more accessible. You can put content out there, whereas back in the 80s, you needed a TV studio, a camera, or what have you. Now you've got devices in your hand, and that to me is what makes the internet and particularly AI interesting. Is you can now produce good quality videos from literally from your handheld device.
So what are you going to do with your automated analytics next? What next wonderful bit of AI do you want to invent, Mark?
Well, it's funny you should ask me that, Timmy, because that's the question I have all the time. So I think I told you the story of I was sat in a Benidorm cafe. Yep, Benidorm, the posh bit, Old Town, when I first wrote our algorithm. I mean, we're a data analytics company, so it's about analysing more and more data. And so for us, one of the next things, the next series that we're looking at is data in sport. And I find it fascinating.
That's huge.
Yeah,
That's
I find it
massive.
fascinating.
Yeah.
So I met the scout for Bayer Leverkusen.
Right.
Right. Met him at a Leeds Aston Villa game.
Good.
And I'm thinking, what are you doing here? And he says, well, we don't buy from the Premier League because we can't afford it because we're the German league.
Oh, right. Okay.
But what I want to do is I want to test what I see on the pitch
Yes.
with the reports
Yep.
that I get later
Yep.
to make sure the reports calibrate
Yep.
with what my human eye can see.
Fantastic.
So if I think there's a player out there,
Yep.
I like the look of him. When the report comes back in, because all the teams subscribe to, they've all got data parcels on their back that
Yep.
track all their movements.
Yep.
When I get that data coming back in, which everybody gets, all the teams get in the Premier League, I want to make sure what I've seen
They also
calibrates
get-
with the report.
They also get this right the way down through the leagues. I was
Yep.
at Maidenhead United versus Hornchurch in Conference South on Saturday.
El Clasico, I believe they call that.
Fantastic, utterly brilliant. And they were saying, no, we've got the analytics, and it really makes a difference. It also going to make a difference for England in the World Cup, isn't it? Yeah, okay. When it comes to penalties, right? You look at the England success rate since the last 10 years, and it's gone right up because, Jordan Pickford's now told, okay, number 11 for Ghana, his goal scoring in penalties since the age of 16, he always shoots bottom left. Right, he's got it there on his water bottle, hasn't he? Bottom left, saves it. I'd love to see what the algorithms and the analytics are doing for the England cricket team in the Ashes. I mean, what? How do you play the pink ball? There's got to be a technique for that. There really has. I find it fascinating.
Well, it's funny you should say that. So since I launched our business in America, I've got to go and see more American sports. Now, American sports are at the centre of sports data. I mean, the NFL, I would argue, is probably one of the strongest data sports in the world. And the way they play baseball, it's all about stats.
Yeah.
It's all about, how many average batting, above 2.2, you're going to get as many of those in your team as you possibly can. It's all about
Does
the
this help
pitch
the
that you're
betting
playing.
companies then? Surely the fact that all the shirts for the Premier League are full of betting companies is to do with data.
Yes,
Data
yes.
collection is nothing new. There's a famous song from 1967. Simon and Garfunkel, Mrs. Robinson. We'd like to know a little bit about you for our files. wow, they were singing it then and they're singing it today.
Yep. And that's the key thing, it's data. And so I'm sure it impacts betting odds. I'm sure data does, and I'm sure there's a lot more that goes on that. But I always remember I was in Charlotte. They've got a minor league team, and Charlotte hadn't won a couple of games, and we were in the stands. Myself and Jason, who was chief operating officer of our US business, we're in the stands, and there's probably about 100 people in this stadium that could seat 15,000. And we were losing. So we thought, right, let's get behind the team. So we were cheering the team. And the first baseman was right by us. And we were cheering. Yeah, anything he did, we cheered. And he actually ended up hitting a home run.
Brilliant.
And he came to us at the end of the game. And we were like, could you hear us? He said, like you're standing right next to me. And there's nothing you can do about giving someone that extra motivation, giving them the extra mile to swing that bat. So no data can tell you that that's going to happen, that two guys are going to sit in a stadium with 100 people and just cheer anything that happened, cheer them on, so it give him the confidence to go out, swing that bat, hit that home run. And we had a great time that evening, but the fact he came over to us at the end,
that's nice.
He gave us the game ball, and
he
actually said, yeah, you guys made the difference tonight. That's why we won.
That's why we have the Barmy Army in Australia, isn't it? The Barmy Army are absolutely vital. They make a big difference.
Yeah.
Shame Stokes can't keep in all the time.
There is that, and then the other sport that use it quite a lot is motorsport, and it's fascinating because I met one of the Ferrari engineers, and you talk about data. I met one of the Ferrari engineers years ago, and they measure 1,700, or were measuring 1,700 data points a second, but didn't have the computing power to actually process that data. So actually, you'd know what was going on a couple of days after the race. Whereas what they've invested massively in is being able to process that in real time.
Now, so I want to know, what difference is that going to make in the next couple of seconds?
Correct.
That's what you need to know, isn't it?
Correct.
And you look at the pit stops, and it's fractions of a second, isn't it?
Totally. But it's not just that. So what they're doing is they're taking the data from the car, loading it onto the simulator.
Great.
Running the simulator all night.
Brilliant.
So then if the simulator goes quicker, we're going to put that setup on the car the next day, which is why you see the variations in performance overnight. A car go from half a second to half a second quicker or whatever, because it's all about processing data. And the great thing about AI, and this is what I think it's going to give us, is the ability to do things quicker.
Yep.
It is what I think it's going to do.
Yep.
So, the example of doing the pit stop better, right, how can we do it better? You'll analyse it with AI to work out quicker, right, what do I need to do? And it's like the football, it's like the Bayer Leverkusen guy, he was literally, we call it data calibration, but he was literally making sure, right, the report I get on a Monday morning from all the player activity is the same as my naked eye. Because if it is, I believe in that data. And that's his sole reason, was just literally came over to England to make sure what he spotted on the pitch was actually the report that he was getting.
I wonder how data can help.
I thought that was amazing.
This is interesting. I wonder how data could make the experience of cycling and painting my way around the islands of Britain and Ireland any easier or better. I mean, I get the data that comes in off Komoot or Strava that tells me how many miles I've done, or the fact I've climbed the equivalent of climbing Everest 15 times this year on my bike. How does it help create the paintings that tell the stories of the experience? And the data in itself doesn't. I don't know. I don't know whether that's going to make any difference at all. All I know is that I put them out on the socials, and your algorithms feed them to you. And you're going to be now, I'm going to put you onto my little WhatsApp group that will feed you those videos that you'll say, and out of this, you'll say, I'll tell you what, Timmy, I've got a little idea. How about that?
Absolutely. Well, I think how you're going to use AI is, we actually sponsored an art festival in Doncaster where the artist used data as if you like, as his pigment, and AI as his canvas, and he actually created the most amazing art pieces that I've ever seen. I literally sat there and was just mesmerised for hours. And I think actually turning you, Timmy, into an AI artist is my next step in life. If I can have that influence on you.
Is there a physical aspect of actually doing it?
Yes, absolutely.
Is there a physical aspect of me actually painting it?
The physical aspect of it will be you taking photos in your camera to create the artwork, and also sounds.
Hockney did this. David Hockney did this in the 80s, where he would take a set of Polaroids. He'd go with Polaroids and then stick them together to make a bigger picture. And it was quite an interesting way of doing it.
So what you're going to do is take hundreds of pictures, put them into a file so that the picture actually moves as you look at it.
Great.
And so for me, again,
we'll do that.
That takes.
How am I going to do it on the phone? Because it fills up and clogs up.
You're going to get a phone with it. We're going to delete the apps that are on your phone, the 149 apps.
Okay, so that's your job tonight.
And put more memory on it. And then
Can you put more memory on the phone?
You might need to buy a new handset, but you put the images in the cloud.
Let's get on to one of the handset companies that does a bigger memory.
Yes.
And we'll sort that out to provide that. And then that's the job, is to make the device useful for creating the videos, the stories. Stories are what's key in the end, isn't it?
Yeah.
The more stories you do. So I'm doing 4 or 5 stories a day, 3 minutes a time, editing them in the evening, putting them out onto the socials. Occasionally I go back and look to see if there are any messages. It's about putting out rather than bringing back in.
But what happens if you took a video of your entire cycling journey and we turned that into a piece of artwork using AI? That would be an amazing
That would be
piece. Good. And again, it's just taking your art in a different direction, different way, and that's the way I see AI. And what I've been impressed, that's why I think AI is a force for good, because you can use it as your method, if you get me. You can, rather than using a paintbrush, you're using AI to get your story away.
Of the painting. That's quite important.
But you can add this to your genre. You don't just have to stick with the brush and the paint. You can expand as an artist, and that's for me.
That becomes exciting. Yes. That's good value. I like that,
because it just brings something different into you, and it also, when I look at the art you produce. I mean, I'm not an artist, Timmy. I was, whenever I look at the paintings, like,
but you like the paintings.
How do you start? Yeah.
Good.
How do you start?
Thank you.
How do you start? And you've done. There's a painting you've done that's a lovely. It's the coloured cottages on the coastline that you've done, and it's a really, really nice painting. Now, using AI.
You're talking about the long walk at Galway, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
What a great walk that is. That's the long walk at Galway.
Now, how could you use AI to almost make it real time, to liven that, to get that painting to move?
Yeah, great.
I'd
could you be fine with that?
How could you use, and that's where I think AI will come in with art.
Great.
Is how does it make that painting
come alive
and be different, and give it a slightly different touch and feel, so that it brings in more people and makes it more relevant.
Yeah. Now you're talking. That's worthwhile. You see is exciting. That's where this development happens, doesn't it?
Yes.
And it's about creativity, where in the end it's about my cycling, my seeing that view, painting it, then saying, right, Mark, make this better.
Yeah.
Make this into the next stage. So we'll do that.
So what led you to start on the bike? Because I use Swift most mornings. I cycle around France.
Swift.
Actually, yeah, it's an app that you can connect to your turbo trainer, and it allows you to cycle.
Why don't you just go out and do the cycle ride around where you live?
Because I'm worried about getting knocked off. I've almost been knocked off my bike 2-3 times. So, and it's a very efficient way to keep fit.
Have you not got any traffic-free cycling near you?
We have got in the town centre in Doncaster, but I'm a bit more in the country. So, and I find it a very efficient way to
well, let's get onto the council then to get some traffic-free cycling, and get you out into the country, because I don't want you scared of being knocked off your bike. I've done 6,500 miles around the coast of Ireland this year, and never once did I feel unsafe.
So what started you on the bike? What started your journey? Was it you just picked up a bike one day, or you've always been into cycling?
Curiosity. Be curious. Get out there and see how different it is. Look at that lovely sunset tonight in Donny. Sunny Donny. Beautiful.
You love it here. I get a sense of feeling this is not going to be the last time we're going to see you.
No, it's not.
In Doncaster.
But listen, I've got things to do tonight. I'm at a Christmas party.
Have you really?
Yeah, at a Christmas party, and I'm going to suggest we wrap this up.
Yes. Timmy, it's been great having you on the show. Really appreciate you coming to Doncaster. Like I say, huge fan. It's a big thing me meeting you anyway.
Thanks, Mark.
Wackaday was a big
I
part
hope
of my
your
childhood.
picture one day gets onto Wackaday.
So do I. It's in that post bag.
It's
in that post bag in London. I'm sure it is. But Timmy, thanks very much for coming on.
Oh, look, a real pleasure. And good luck with what you're doing with automated analytics. I think it's terrific. I think it's very exciting. It's about leading on to the next thing. And change is a constant.
Thanks, Timmy.